Wide area networks, WANs for short, are private and geographically distributed networks. A WAN connects a group of computers and network devices in local area networks, or LANs. WANs provide useful connectivity, but can be problematic. For instance, it can be costly to set up and maintain a WAN. There are complexity issues too, especially for large organizations or ones spread across multiple countries or continents. Performance over those long distances can suffer. One answer for these and other issues: the software-defined wide area network, or SD-WAN. Here, we'll go over the basics of SD-WAN and what it means for businesses. For a deeper dive, explore our complete collection on all things SD-WAN by clicking the link above or in the description below. An SD-WAN creates a virtual network overlay that sits on top of an organization's physical WAN infrastructure, which includes network hardware and WAN connections like broadband internet, fiber, wireless, LTE, or multi-protocol label switching, or MPLS. Essentially, the SD-WAN overlay creates an encrypted tunnel for traffic traveling among applications, devices, and sites. And it can use an organization's existing WAN connections. The benefit here is that organizations don't have to overhaul their physical WANs, but they can improve performance and better prioritize WAN traffic. While the concept of an overlay can be hard to grasp, it's a crucial component of SD-WAN because it enables organizations to add flexibility and scalability to traditionally clunky WAN designs. That brings us to the centralized controller that manages the SD-WAN. The controller is typically software that directs data flows between 2 points and distributes network and security policies to all connected devices. So, for example, a network admin could tell the controller to send latency-sensitive traffic, like a voice or video call, along a more reliable MPLS connection. This controller allows for real-time traffic management over WAN links and lets IT staff deploy network devices with low or zero-touch provisioning. It also minimizes the need for network engineers to manually configure routers in branch locations. SD-WAN is typically available as 2 options: overlay SD-WAN and a managed service. With an overlay SD-WAN, a vendor provides a network edge device that contains the software running this SD-WAN technology. Customers plug their WAN links into the device, and it automatically configures with the network. With a managed SD-WAN service, customers access a provider's network, and the provider manages it. In most cases, both overlay SD-WAN and managed SD-WAN have certain capabilities. They virtualize the WAN connection, they centralize policy oversight, and they provide orchestration and the ability to manage traffic dynamically. You can find examples of SD-WAN in use within many industries, like retail, government, financial services, and healthcare. SD-WAN is particularly useful for large enterprises with worldwide locations because it makes it far easier to manage branch offices. Smaller companies benefit from SD-WAN's ability to work with many WAN types, especially cheaper options like broadband and 5G. For companies that need to support a mix of remote and in-office employees, SD-WAN helps connect these users to company resources securely. Originally, organizations saw SD-WAN as a way of cutting WAN costs. But as the technology matured, its other advantages became clear. First, improved application performance. Because SD-WAN uses WAN optimization techniques and dynamically shifts traffic to accommodate each application's requirements, those apps work better. Automatic failover and redundancy among WAN connections. That means if a primary path fails or is congested, traffic is routed to another link. This boosts performance for your apps and networks and cuts latency. Reduced reliance on leased and expensive MPLS circuits. That's because SD-WAN can send low-priority data over cheaper public internet connections and reserve private links for your mission-critical or latency-sensitive app traffic, like voice over IP. Automated site deployments, configurations, and operations. For example, SD-WAN uses centralized controllers and supports automation, AI, and machine learning processes. And finally, with SD-WAN, you get end-to-end visibility across networks, including LANs, WANs, and cloud environments. This means extra security, plus it's a lot easier for network administrators to troubleshoot issues. So yes, there are many advantages to using SD-WAN. But you've got to take the disadvantages into account before you commit the money to buy, especially considering that while SD-WAN cuts costs in the long run, purchasing SD-WAN software is expensive in the short run. Other challenges associated with SD-WAN include extra time and effort involved in vetting and selecting a vendor, added effort to deal with underlay provisioning, the need to develop cloud connectivity strategies, complex management once it's implemented, and the additional training for staff to be able to run SD-WAN. So you weigh the pluses and minuses of investing in SD-WAN and decide it's a good idea for your organization. What comes next? You'll need to do some more research. Experts recommend that before committing to a particular SD-WAN vendor, your team conduct a proof of concept that lets you deploy the SD-WAN to a few sites and test its performance. These tests will help verify each SD-WAN vendor's claims about its product and how it works with your organization's particular mix of applications. Another pre-deployment step is to align your business goals with SD-WAN's capabilities. Your team should be ready to explain to company executives why SD-WAN is a good investment. This is especially important if your network is already performing well. Here are some other things you must understand about your current WAN environment before conducting a more in-depth vendor evaluation. What applications need to be supported, available connectivity options, bandwidth consumption, which security and compliance policies must be followed, the organization's quality of service and quality of experience needs, and finally, any site requirements, like redundancy or remote support. Once all this pre-purchase research is done, you're ready to evaluate the vendors. Your company has selected the SD-WAN vendor and product. Now it's time to deploy. You can deploy in one of three ways: DIY, fully managed, or hybrid. DIY is when your organization buys the SD-WAN from a vendor and the company's internal IT team deploys and manages it. Fully managed SD-WAN is when your organization outsources all aspects of SD-WAN deployment and management to a managed service provider, or MSP. Hybrid is what it sounds like. Your organization manages some areas of its SD-WAN and outsources other aspects to an MSP. Which model works best depends on the size of your organization and the skill level of your IT team. Once you've settled this deployment question, it's time to prep your network infrastructure for implementation. First, examine the existing network and determine if the current hardware can support SD-WAN. You may need to upgrade equipment. Most SD-WAN vendors support zero-touch provisioning, or ZTP. ZTP automatically recognizes and configures an SD-WAN device once it's connected to a WAN connection. Sometimes, though, a vendor might do low-touch provisioning, which requires more hands-on involvement from the IT team. In the post-deployment phase, it's important for your network team to develop a troubleshooting and monitoring strategy. The team needs to account for event handling, active path testing, physical status and topology, all of which are essential for troubleshooting. SD-WAN will be here for a long time. It's already working well with the Internet of Things and with 5G. And SD-WAN technology continues to evolve. It's beginning to merge with SASE, or Secure Access Service Edge. SASE is a cloud-based architecture that delivers networking capabilities, like SD-WAN, and security functions as a single service. Some organizations might stick with SD-WAN alone, while they prepare for a more comprehensive cloud-based security strategy with SASE. Others might choose to use SD-WAN as a launchpad to SASE implementation. Clearly, SD-WAN has some compelling benefits for organizations looking for improved application performance and WAN redundancy. If your IT team hasn't already, now is the time to evaluate whether SD-WAN makes sense in your corporate network setting.